The NBA is currently stacked up with some extremely talented rookies, but one guy who I think has sort of flown under the radar is Brandon Miller, who I think has some scary potential as a scorer. Now Miller is a 6'9" wing who can really shoot the ball, and most of his looks so far this year have come off the catch. Now as a spot-up shooter, Miller pretty much checks all the boxes, having a quick release off the catch, being able to shoot on the move, while having some respectable range.
Here's Smith to Miller, a long three, and it's through.
Mechanically, there's absolutely no fat in Brandon's shot. The ball always flows from his pocket to set point in one smooth motion. And those efficient mechanics allow him to instantly punish breakdowns from the defense. Right here, you'll see him work off this simple handoff from the corner. And instead of blasting off the handoff and trying to turn the corner, Miller is just going to stop short and pop this three. And when getting into these shots off the catch, Miller's footwork is always crisp and efficient. Watch him here catch and immediately establish his left foot as his pivot foot. And when he feels that he has space, watch how Brandon is going to work his right foot around to get himself squared up.
Miller turns and triples.
And that sharp footwork also allows Miller to be effective when shooting on the move. Watch him here blast off this handoff, and right off the catch, watch him turn and flow into this balanced left-right jumper. Now on this play, you'll see him start at the free throw line, then shift up to the slot for this jumper. But again, on the catch, notice how effortlessly he turns and gets himself squared up, to then rise up for another stable jumper. Miller also has a pretty good feel of spacing and relocating on the perimeter, which both creates passing windows for his teammates and also forces the defense into longer closeouts. You'll see LaMelo Ball here drive and pull Brandon's man down towards the nail, and from this spot, notice how Miller is going to slightly relocate down, which again gives Melo a clear angle to make this pass, and also gives Miller a lot more room off the catch. Now on top of Miller having a quick release and sharp footwork, he also has pretty good range. I wouldn't necessarily put him in the category of Steph Curry or Trae Young, but Miller is very comfortable pulling the trigger from 30 feet. One thing you'll notice about Miller's shot is that he has perfect timing from his lower body into his release. Notice here how he brings the ball to his set point, and as he releases, watch how he gets full extension from his knees and hips. That kind of shot timing is something all rangy shooters have, and it is pretty scary how Miller's already got this at just 21 years old. Now as of right now, Miller doesn't take threes off the dribble in super high volume. He does have the ability to pop these one dribble pull-ups if he has space. But when Miller puts the ball down, he's primarily looking to attack downhill. When playing off the bounce, Brandon gives me real Paul George vibes. Not only because he has a sticky handle, but his footwork underneath the ball is extremely fluid.
Because they obviously look the same build, kind of play the same way. Look at Brandon Miller.
When we look at a guy like PG, who's well known for being smooth with the ball, all that fluidity comes from his footwork. When slowing down these clips, you'll notice how George uses his feet first to set up moves, then the ball follows. Like here, watch him go between and skip out into this crossover. But notice how George is going to plant his outside foot first, then the ball follows. And when he gets to this snatch, we can see the same thing, where George is going to plant his foot first and the ball follows. Now when looking at Brandon's game off the dribble, we can see some of the same aspects to his handle. One of Miller's go-to moves is his hanging crossover, and to set this move up, notice how Miller is going to skip out and plant his outside foot first, then bring the ball across. You'll see him hit the same move here, where he's going to again skip up, then plant his outside foot and drop his shoulders, selling the drive, and he completely shifts his man out of his frame with this crossover. And on top of all that footwork, Miller also has really good pace with the ball. Watch him here come off the screen and lift his shoulders up, which pulls Kelly Oubre out towards the three and sets up an easy blow by. And again, the foundation for this move all comes back to Miller's footwork. Watch him here set up the hezzy by skipping off his left foot, then replanting it to push himself downhill. And that ball handling and pace transfers right over to Miller's pick and roll game, where Brandon's already getting comfortable probing off the screens, putting his man in jail, and snaking it back towards the middle to set up shots. You'll see him working off the screen here at the slot, and notice how he veers back in towards the middle and puts Oubre on his back. Then he's going to pick up the ball and flow into this runner. And because Miller already has really good height and length, he's able to find a ton of success navigating to spots and elevating up for these floaters. Watch him here catch and turn the corner off his handoff, to then lift up into this runner over the league's best rim protector. And that size and length also allows Miller to score in the deep paint, where his physical tools allows him to create finishing angles around and over the defense. This finish right here is tough, where in transition, Miller is going to hit this left-right Euro step, but notice how much ground he's able to cover with these strides, where his first step is outside of the paint, but watch how he's able to extend all the way across the lane and get to the other side of the rim. Now, one big area of improvement I do see for Miller is going to be his strength. At the moment, Brandon's not very comfortable both initiating and absorbing contact, which causes him to constantly get pushed out into these more difficult off-balance floaters. And right now, Miller is averaging just 2 free throw attempts per game, while also averaging under 3 field goal attempts at the rim per game, which I think shows that Brandon's not putting a ton of pressure on the rim. And going forward, I think in order for him to really break out and become a top tier scorer across the league, he's going to have to find ways to generate more layups and free throws. Watch him here get back to his go-to crossover, and he's able to create a driving angle and get the defense on his hip. But watch how this defender bumps him off his driving line and forces him out into a 1-foot floater from the free throw line. There's also many drives where Brandon completely avoids contact. You'll see him on this play going at a mismatch, and notice how he takes this wide attacking angle and doesn't get into this big's body, which allows him to stay on balance and elevate up to eliminate Brandon's finish. And that lack of strength also bleeds over to Miller's ball handling, where at times physical and aggressive defense can push him off his center line and force him into turnovers. Watch him here get into this hezzy and drive going right, but notice how Isaiah Stewart gets into his body and pushes him off his driving line, which then draws him into a turnover. On this play, you'll see him matched up against the physical Chris Dunn, and notice how Dunn gets into Miller's body and forces him to pick up his dribble as soon as he crosses half court, and he's able to pressure him into a bad delivery pass. Now, things like this normally get cleaned up with a few years of development and NBA experience, and Brandon for sure has plenty of time to naturally fill out. But overall, I think Brandon Miller is already showing some pretty advanced scoring chops from all 3 levels. He's an extremely dynamic and versatile shooter off the catch. He's got plenty of on-ball skills to create offense on his own. Plus, he has the length and physical tools to generate points from below the 3. I think if Miller over the next few years can fill out physically and find more ways to generate free throws and fouls from attacking the basket, he could quickly become the NBA's next great scorer. If you want to support this channel directly, feel free to check out my Patreon for exclusive breakdowns. But regardless, I still appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. The Kids here.